thanks so much for joining me for Everyday Vlogmas Day 10. So before we start today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the topic of the video. It is my most unused luxury beauty products. And just as a disclaimer, this does not mean that I don't like these products. It just means I don't use them as often. If some of these products are holy grail products too, I'd love to know how you use them, because sometimes I think there are better ways to use them that maybe I haven't figured out yet either. So I'd love for you to leave any advice as well. But let's go ahead and get started. And talk about everything. I did have a request to feature products that I didn't like. However, with this channel, typically it goes through a filter before I even purchase anything, so I won't just purchase whatever's new unless I'm really intrigued by it. Otherwise, it will be something I typically would want to buy anyway, or something I think I will use. So it's rare that there are items that I don't really like, because I've, again, already kind of thought them through. But there are things that I rarely use or use the least, and I wanted to talk you through them. Most of them I tried to put on my face so you could see what they looked like. I just wanted to explain why they are things that I don't use as often as other products. Starting with the foundation, it's by Clé de Peau. It does look like it has actually been used quite a bit, but it was more for like trial purposes. I've tried this a lot. It is not something that I reach for, like you can even see pan there. But this was one of the more expensive foundations, and I kept feeling like maybe I wasn't using it properly, or let me try it in a different kind of weather situation in terms of hot or cold. It did work better today though, so if you are in a cooler climate, in a drier climate, this might work better for you. I tried this though in warmer temperatures, a little bit more humid. It just didn't do much for me. So this might have to do with the fact that I love so many other Clé de Peau products so much more, that this one is just, like I said, good in comparison. It is the cream to powder foundation, and today it looks nice. So, so if you like that cream to powder foundation feel, it has that. So this one's not as consistent as, say, their other foundations for me in terms of performance. But today, it looks pretty good. Then, this Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage is something I used so much in the past. I think I'd gone through a couple of them before, and I hadn't used it for a while, and then I thought, let me try this again and see how it is. So I've barely used it, and I think it's because I want just a little bit more peach. It's quite warm. I have mine in SC4, but it's a dry consistency, which I actually typically like when it comes to like a camouflage concealer for my darker areas, because it doesn't show as much texture. And this reminds me, actually, as I was using it, of the Clé de Peau concealer consistency and level of coverage. That might be why I'm not using this as much, because I do use the Clé de Peau concealers, which again have SPF in them too, so any extra SPF I'm happy to put in there. Very nice. I just have the Clé de Peau to use instead of this, which is why I haven't used it. The Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away Liquid Concealer. I had purchased this in the past, so this is like my second or third repurchase of this, and I love the idea of that sponge on the end, but it just doesn't last very long. Like that sponge needs to be, I don't know, replaced every so often or washed, or I don't even know if you can wash it, but it just actually gets in the way of application after a while. So I don't use this, and as you know, I love the Sisley and La Prairie concealers. This is not an unliked product, it was just the one I opened today, the Kevyn Aucoin. I wanted to pick this up because it was such a staple of mine, and then it broke. Like I had it for years, the sculpting powder, and this one's in medium, and so that Ray Morris brush is a really nice pairing with this because you just place it on there and you swipe and it kind of distributes it. So I really like using this with a bronzer. It just defines, and then that bronzer softens it up. The highlighter is also nice on this as well. Just a nice kind of neutral sheen. I didn't know if it would work over this blush that I used, the lip and cheek glows. I think these are great for the minimal makeup person because you can use them as cheek and lip colors, and it's really quick too. I just don't use this as much because, I mean, it worked really well over the powder, but I just have so many other things to choose. I will either pick something like the Chantecaille cheek gelays. Why does that sound weird? Cheek gelée. The cheek gelays on the cheeks over something like this. This has like a stickier consistency, but over powder it seemed to do okay. These Givenchy powders, I have not been pulling for them. I think I was going to like plug up some of the colors so I can customize a little bit more. I just have that Clé de Peau loose powder that I always pull for, as well as a few others that I'll mix in every once in a while, but these were the ones I pulled for the least. I think maybe part of it's that they're a little bit messy, but I've learned to kind of put the powder in the lid and then take the powder from there. So I don't know, not something I pull for. Then this Tom Ford red harness, and I don't even know if it's available anymore. I do pull for the bronzer and the highlighter. I think that's pretty, but I rarely, if ever, pull for the eye shades. So I thought I would try that today just to, I don't know, try it out. It went on much more like a thin veil of color than anything, but I thought it worked fine with the eyeliners I pulled, which were all like in the purple family. Oh yes, and then the Hourglass, the 6-pan. I rarely use this because I like the 4-pan better, but the bronzer actually turned out really nice with that, what was I gonna say? The sculpting powder. So actually it warmed it up a little bit. I forgot how much I liked this pencil type of format for the NARS. This one's in Cruella, and it's a really nice shape for especially red. Then there's this, which I think I used once. The 3D All Over Glow, and I just wanted to put up in the front here because the blush lifted off a little bit of the concealer, so I wanted to blur that, so I just placed it up here, but you can see it's got more of like a cool toned shimmer to it, which looks nothing like the powder. It looks like it's going to be bronzy, but it's like unicorn glow, and you can see it, and I didn't realize this till much later, but if you get the light right on this cover, you can see it's got like a purpley hue to it. I don't pull for this one at all because it's not my taste, but if you like that, you might really like this finishing powder because I don't see a lot of finishing powders with that kind of appearance. I just pulled a few other things that I realized I don't really use, and one of the reasons is because they come in bigger palettes. I tend to not pull for things in large palettes, and I don't really know why. I think it might have to do with the fact that like anything, if I go shopping, if this store has too many things to pick from, it's overwhelming. So I like very curated collections before I even shop. Like I love boutiques. I love when the clothing on the racks has lots of space between them and there's only a few really high quality pieces to pick from. Whenever there's just so much stuff, I don't even see anything anymore, and I feel like with a palette that might be the same case. Not that these are bad, but the Dior Holiday, like I couldn't even tell you without looking at it what's in there. I just know there's lots of colors, but I don't even remember, like, are they warm, are they cool? I don't remember. YSL, like this was really pretty on, really beautiful colors. I I don't think I pulled for it ever since I made the video. So as much as I love the full face palettes like the Charlotte Tilbury's, I do purchase them because I have been, and I continue to just test them out because I like the idea of them, but I don't know if I really maximize the value in all of these palettes that have like face. I don't know, let me know, do you? Oh, and things are falling out. I would love to know if you use these full face palettes. Like I said, I love the idea, but I don't really use them. Also, another theme I noticed was in my eyeliners. Anything that's like in the burgundy, like pink family, I don't really pull for them because I think they're harder to use. Because there is the potential of my eyes looking like I've had a reaction to something, because if it's pink too close to my eye, that's how it looks on me. I want to say it just takes a little bit more thought in terms of how everything's put together to make it work. This tinted skincare jelly, just to like has as a natural bronzer, I just never used it. I think because it got tucked under other things and I didn't actually see it. Oh, I forgot to mention, the reason why I'm discovering all of these things that I hardly use is because I'm going through and organizing with you, and as I'm doing that, I'm pulling things out like I didn't even remember having these things. So that's kind of how I landed on luxury beauty products I rarely use, or what am I calling it? My most unused luxury beauty products, that's it. Also, a powder you might be surprised about because I know everyone loves this one, but okay, I think one of the reasons I don't use it is because it broke right after I tried it because it fell on the floor. So it's in like a powdery mess, but I just kind of wanted to keep it for comparison purposes. But it had like a, well, let's try it. Let's try it because it had like a, too much of a shimmer for me. We'll try under the eye. I can't remember why I didn't pull for this. I think because all over the face, it was a little bit too much of a reflective thing for me, but maybe under the eye. It's a very gossamer kind of thing. Actually, that looks really nice, doesn't it? Maybe if I powdered my concealer under the eye, that might be a good place for it. Because it's a very like thin gossamer kind of consistency, very unique. But it is something I don't really use. Okay, this next one might surprise you because I just use them, but the Guerlain Meteorites, I don't really use them. They're pretty. I just use the ambient lighting ambient lighting powders by Hourglass more frequently because they don't have the same kind of potential to emphasize pores. If I put on too much of this, then it will bring about that texture. So I have to be really light-handed and really strategic about using these. Beautiful ethereal look, but that's probably why I don't use these as much. And then this, I don't think I used it at all since I picked it up. The this Gucci, it's like a gel gloss. I love the idea of this, but I don't know how practical it is. But it's supposed to give like a dewy kind of look. Let's put some on right now. Yeah, it's okay. I think it doesn't set, and maybe that's why I don't use it. I typically really love the lipsticks I order, but this one was something that I think was one of the lipsticks that just did not work for me because of my coloring. It was this Gucci lipstick. The packaging though, it's so attractive. Like I love this combination. This color on me did not work. But that is it for my most unused luxury beauty products. That is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.